Drive about 8 miles due west of the Carlsbad Raceway, and this is what you'll see, the Pacific Ocean. Next stop, maybe 3,000 miles to Hawaii. Not a whole lot left aside from some beautiful blue water, some great fishing, and some great surfing. Beautiful, beautiful seacoast. But right now, it's back up to the racetrack where we see Billy Frank from up in Orange County getting ready to go. He currently rides in the 5th spot in the overall point standings. He's a support rider from Yamaha.
And currently 4th in those standings is Suzuki's George Holland, who may be better known to motocross fans for his many successes on the smaller 125cc bikes.
3rd in the standings at the present time is El Cajon's Broc Glover, the superstar on the Yamaha team, who we saw ride into the 3rd spot in the first moto.
And 2nd in points is Jeff Ward for Kawasaki, a young man who's never done anything for a living but ride motorcycles. The press used to call him the Flying Freckle, but he's finally, I think, shed that kind of ridiculous nickname.
Sitting in the number 1 spot, the crosstown rival from El Cajon, Ricky Johnson, who you saw make that fantastic charge to win on the final lap from Jeff Ward. So this group and a whole bunch more are set for the start of Moto 2 at Carlsbad.
Everybody's staring at their own individual gate, and they are away. The final Moto 250 pros, some of the best riders in the world, and it is Ricky Johnson that's going to lead it through that first left-hand turn, and that's bad news for the rest of the pack, Broc.
It sure is. Johnson took a while to get to the front on the last moto, but right now he's saying bye-bye. I'm going to get out here in front and stay there. Right behind him, though, is Scott Manning.
And there's some riders who we didn't hear much from in the first moto that got a good start. Behind Manning is Scott Tyler, number 53. Mark Banks in 4th, 6X, and Broc Glover is in the 5th spot. It's he who now has to play catch-up.
In the meantime, we've got Ward, George Holland, Billy Frank, and the rest of them kind of stuck back in the field, and they're going to have to work their way to the front. And that ain't easy with a whole bunch of good riders out here like this.
Now, a guy with the abilities of Ricky Johnson on his home turf, oh, man, he's going to be tough to catch.
Well, right now, he's moved out to a good long lead on Scott Manning, almost riding alone in the picture. Here comes Manning and the rest of the guys, but you can be sure that the one man in that kind of front group that has a chance to reel him in is Broc Glover.
And we don't even see Jeff Ward up among the front runners. It was he who told you, Broc, that this track is getting slippery and much harder to ride as it dries out.
Well, Steve, as we expected, Glover is beginning to make his move on Mark Banks. Mark Banks, the Englishman from Suffolk, England. He rides for Team Honda of England, but right now he's got his hands full with Glover.
Wageman is down. Wageman tried to muscle his way past Broc Glover, and he lost that one. Wageman a little shaken up, but he appears to be okay. He's going to sit down and take a big, deep breath and think about that one for a while.
Oh, boy, that's like falling down in front of a freight train. The first thing he did, no matter how much he hurt, was to get out of the way of everybody else. It looks like he's going to be all right. But here comes Glover.
No question about it. Glover is on the move now, challenging Mark Banks for the 3rd spot.
Mark Banks comes over here like a lot of the Europeans to kind of do a refresher course because they don't get any better than the guys that ride here at Carlsbad. So right now, Glover pushes his way by. But I'll tell you what, Steve, Banks is giving him a good fight.
Oh, you can bet he is. There's a lot of competition between especially the English and the American riders. And the quality of the American riders is so evident here. You've got the French national champion, the Japanese national champion, and they're not even factors.
That's right. You talked to the French national champion earlier, and he admitted it. He said they're really good here. And you can see it right now as Broc Glover tries to break free of Banks and hopefully catch up on his rival, Ricky Johnson.
Let's take another look at what caused Russ Wageman to go down. You can see here he got awful close to Glover. Glover was not about to give an inch, and Glover is just the stronger of the two. Wageman finally just goes right over the handlebars. That's about as hard as you can get off a motorcycle.
Well, I think he just tried to run as hard as Glover was going through that corner, and you just don't do that unless you've got extraordinary talents. Not to take anything away from Wageman at this particular time. Here are a couple of Yamaha riders fighting it out for 2nd spot. Glover behind Scott Manning, and it's going to be Glover right there getting by. So he has moved into the 2nd spot. Scott Manning simply can't stay up with him.
But can Broc Glover make up the tremendous difference between himself and the leader, Ricky Johnson? Scott Manning has now fallen back to 3rd. Billy Frank, a game young kid, in 4th. And Jeff Ward, clear back in 5th.
Right, that is Billy Frank and Jeff Ward fighting it out for the 4th spot. Remember now, Jeff Ward led the first moto for a long, long time. had a kind of a bad start, though, in the second moto. Has been trying to work his way through the field. Jeff Ward, probably one of the quickest riders in the history of this sport, Steve.
And that says a lot for Billy Frank to be able to hold him off as well as he is doing. Billy Frank has had a very fine outing today against the best competition that you could possibly muster. And look at this. He puts a few bike links on Jeff Ward. Remember, Ward said he went to a new front tire because the track was drying out, felt that you couldn't take the chances in the final moto that he did in the first one. And now he's pulling up on Billy Frank, waiting for an opportunity to pass, and here it may come. No! Ward could not get around him on the inside. Now going to try him on the outside, and still couldn't get enough momentum even with the burn shot. Now it is Ward in front of Billy Frank, or is it? Oh, and they collide. They are both down and down hard. Some spectators get jostled around, but doesn't appear to be anybody down there. Billy Frank took the worst of this. He's in pain, Broc.
He took a hard shot in his left leg. He's holding his left knee. Jeff Ward gets back on his bike and gets back underway, but not Billy Frank. He is down and he's hurting. A tough shot Billy Frank took, and apparently it was that left leg that took the brunt of the collision. Let's take another look at it now. Both trying to get into the same spot on the racetrack. There they come together. Down they go. Notice Billy Frank's left leg hooked underneath him as he went down, and that is where the damage was obviously done. See him? He is going to grab that left leg, and that's a tough break. What a good ride he was having up to that point.
Well, he was just so aggressive, and he lost it and ran right into Ward. But the benefactor, the Frenchman in the pink leathers, Jacky Vimond, he is now up to fourth and trying to pass Scott Manning for the third spot.
Notice that Vimond is carrying 70 on the back of his leather, Steve, but 7P is his number in the race. 70 is his number in France, and he's carrying this number over here in the United States. But right now, he doesn't care what number he's got on his back or on his bike. His eyes are concentrating on Scott Manning immediately ahead of him. And right now, Manning is holding him off.
Well, Vimond, though, is proving why he has been several times the French national champion. And typical Frenchman, he likes to style it over the jumps, even though he's trying to pass for third spot.
Well, he's going to try to dive underneath him into turn one. Can't make it work. And now Manning takes that big, long jump, and he'll go up, hook a hard right, and come parallel right back to the other jump and make another one right here. There's a point on the racetrack where everybody's flying in opposite direction. Pit signals are out. The crews are crowding more and more out on the racetrack. They're like bullfighters out there with a pit board.
That's right. The yellow flag is out in that turn, of course, for Billy Frank, who is still down there. But the Frenchman is a delight to watch. He's a photographer's dream.
Especially with those pink leathers on.
Now you can see George Holland, number 65 on the Suzuki in the yellow riding suit, closing up on Jacky Vimond.
Notice how George kind of hunches down over the handlebars. He's got kind of that bulldog driving style. The other guys kind of stand up on the bars. George is kind of hunched down over him, and he's a small, compact man anyway. He has not been as running quite as well as we expected him to run in this race. You know, I thought maybe he'd be right there with a leader.
Well, he's usually very competitive on 125s, as we said before, but certainly not a bad performance today. Here comes Jacky Vimond moving up on Manning.
No, don't get me wrong. Anybody can even stay right side up on one of these things is doing a great job, much less ride them the way these guys do.
Oh, yeah, and you figure there's over 7,000 riders in the CMC and only a couple of hundred pros and a half a dozen capable of winning a race like this. This is the elite.
Okay, there goes Vimond trying the inside on Scott Manning. Still can't make it work. Dirt tracking through that corner. Down over the big doubles drop jump. And Manning holds on. Holland right and back there, waiting for a little slip on the part of either Manning or Vimond. Holland tries the inside. Almost caught the rear wheel of Vimond. Vimond by him, Steve.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you, this is a terrific three-way duel. Vimond, Manning, Holland, what a show.
In the meantime, of course, way out front, Ricky Johnson and Broc Glover, but Vimond, Manning, and Holland can taste that third spot money right now, and they're riding as hard as they can to get it.
Well, vive la France. This boy is really cooking.
He is indeed. Pulled out now to a point where, look at this, Holland trying Manning on the inside off that jump, can't make it stick, but here he comes again. Scott Manning now is being challenged very hard by George Holland.
Well, you described Holland earlier as a bulldog, and that's the kind of performance he's putting on now. Just gritty, tenacious. He knows in his own mind he's going to get Manning, and it's sometimes that middle outlook that'll get it done for you.
Well, Manning certainly isn't given up by any means. Right now, though, they've got that big jump, and George Holland carries Golden State Nationals. Right now, he's gathering up a slower rider. But I'll tell you what, a formidable man indeed. That is Atsushi Okabe, the current national champion of Japan. And I'll tell you what, Ricky just blew right by him.
Oh, indeed he did. The Japanese, in fact, there's a pair of them over here hoping to run a number of races this year. A little stiffer competition might turn them into better riders. At least that's what the factories hope. Ricky Johnson, just a superbly turned out athlete. An excellent surfer, a snow skier, a water skier. He can do it all. For that matter, so can this man, Broc Glover, currently running in the second spot. Who would have thought in such a short time, considering that motocross only started in this country in 1968, that guys like Broc Glover would become such highly paid superstars, travel internationally. They're of the caliber in this two-wheel sport as Formula One drivers would be in automobile racing. Well, Billy Frank has been taken back to his truck in the pit area, and Broc Yates is over there to see how he's doing.
Steve, I'm with Billy Frank, who was involved in that little deal with Jeff Ward, and looked pretty bad at the start, but it looks like maybe he walked away with just a wrench knee, huh?
Yeah, at the start, some guy crashed right in front of me, and I had to slow down, and I came out about last, but I passed a lot of people going around the outside, and seemed to work good.
Yeah, you were running real good. And were you trying to get by Jeff, or how was that? How did it actually set up?
Well, he was right behind me for about 3 laps, and then he passed me going around this turn, and I thought I'd get him back on this double, and I passed him, but I landed in a hole, and my hand came off the bar, and I just slid over and hit him.
So he kept going, but you were the loser, huh?
Yeah, I think I smashed my knee. I hope I didn't twist it, though, because it'll take a long time if I twisted it.
Yeah, that hurts. Well, I'm real sorry that you're out. You're running real strong.
Thank you.
Good to see a nice young kid is not seriously hurt, Broc. I'll tell you, we got a good race going on for 8th place. Scott Tyler, whose number is 53, his jersey may say 903, but trust me, he's number 53. He has fallen from 3rd to 8th, and Jeff Hicks is right on him, and so is Michael Larson. They want to push him back even further if they can. And they've only got about a lap and a half to do that, to get that job done. And Jeff Hicks, who has been steadily moving up, is now trying to overtake a rider who has steadily been moving back. So that could work out very well for him. In fact, here comes Hicks, number 21. On the Suzuki, tries him on the outside. No, it is not going to work. That is Scott Tyler. It may say 903 on the jersey, but he's really 53. Now it works. Jeff Hicks, number 21, has taken over the 8th spot. And that moves Tyler back to 9th. And Mikkel Larson, number 54, in that 10th position still. Well, Ricky Johnson may be a runaway leader, but we certainly have not had any problem finding a good race going on here. And Hicks suddenly gets off the course. He has stalled the motor, gets it restarted. So Jeff Hicks really bobbled badly there. That puts Scott Tyler, number 53, back into 8th and moves Mikkel Larson up to 9th.
Well, that was really a tough break for Hicks. He had pretty well covered it, but look at this. There is your man heading toward victory, or at least a presumed victory. Ricky Johnson riding just as hard on this, what probably is its last lap. Yes, it is the last lap, as he was really out of the starting gate, Steve.
I think you're right, Broc. Until this lap, it looked like on that turn that Johnson just wasn't using that throttle grip as hard. And who could blame him? I'm sure the people he works for, the people from Honda, are saying, just win the race. You can win it by 10 feet or 100 yards. Just win it.
Well, right behind him, of course, is his arch rival, Broc Glover, his neighbor, as it were, from Costa Mesa. So you can be sure that one bobble is going to cost him the victory. So right now, yeah, I think you're right. Rick Johnson is running considerably slower right now. And if he had a rear-view mirror on that thing, he could see that well behind him is Broc Glover.
You know, you see these riders go, oh, look at how easy. He's just stroking it now.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you see these riders, oh, and there it is. He wins it with double V's for victory. What a ride for Ricky Johnson. Now a little wheelie, celebrating a well-deserved win here today. In fact, back-to-back motos. You can't do it any better. He's still out there playing and having some fun. Glover picks up the second. He deserved every inch of that.
So two guys from right here, locals as it were, dominate this race from start to finish. But it was the man, Ricky Johnson, who did it all, winning them both. The first one, the first moto, the hard way. The second one, about as easy as you could hope for. Literally a flag-to-flag victory in the second moto. So he takes that 41-point victory to carry on the overall win. 82 points. Glover second. Jeff Ward third. Despite the fall, George Holland fourth, and Jacky Vimond for France fifth. Well, here they come into victory.